From a mammoth skull in a vegetable garden and a secret bunker in the forest to mysterious creatures and a rocket sticking out of the ground. Today we will show you 100 incredible finds that will definitely blow your mind. Take a break from the rush of everyday life and enjoy watching everyone. The Monanto Quarry in Finland looks like an underwater labyrinth of the Minotaur. Only there are no mythical monsters here. It is so quiet that even the fish do not come here. Once upon a time, limestone was mined here, but in 1976, the groundwater completely flooded the mines. Imagine a 40-year-old train stuck on the top of a mountain, and around it there is not a single piece of track. And I'm asking myself the same question as you are. How did it even get there at all? If aliens do exist, they clearly parked their ship not in the safest place. The object looks so much like something that makes you immediately want to ask, guys, are you sure it was not you who dropped this?
Ходишь по лесу, ни живой души, и встречаешь вот такую штуку круглую.
For car lovers, Desert Valley Auto Parts is a mandatory item on the wish list. There are about 10,000 vintage cars here, frozen in time. A walk through this junkyard is like a teleporter to the previous century.
But unfortunately, if you need glass for one of these, you would probably go to this place.
I recommend that you carefully inspect the walls in your own house. What if somewhere inside a bundle of rare $2 bills is hidden? Someone definitely came up with such a safe. You have to agree, finding a rocket stage in the forest that sticks out of the ground like a tree is clearly not an everyday sight. Nature and technology have created a very strange duet here. Forget about a sandy bottom. In this body of water, the entire bottom is a pile of sunken cars, as if someone decided to build an underwater parking lot out of them. This sinkhole, the size of a tennis court, music, appeared in Chile 3 years ago. Its perfectly even, smooth walls still baffle geologists. With your moral support, these people will pull the legendary T-34 tank out of the river. It has been waiting for this moment since 1942, lying in mud and water, and now it is finally being brought back to life. No human collection of cars can compare to Poseidon's collection. At the bottom of this body of water, there is a whole cemetery of cars. Do you recognize the make of this one? Write it in the comments. Maybe someone used to. This truck was found in the river more than 20 years ago. And instead of pulling it out for scrap metal, the locals turned it into a symbol of the town. Now it stands as a monument, reminding everyone that sometimes trash becomes a landmark. The investments these treasure hunters made in their diving gear paid off many times over. They found Spanish gold underwater worth about $1 million. That is what I call a hobby that pays for itself. After restoration in 1994, the Pelican 16 aircraft was ready for a new life. But during its first flight to England, 2 engines on the right wing failed at once. The pilot landed the plane in the middle of the Sahara and saved 19 crew members, but the Pelican itself remained in the desert. They were no longer able to take it back. This strangely shaped monument on Cosmos Hill in Serbia consists of 5 concrete blocks. They symbolize the sparks of the struggle of Serbian partisans for freedom. A grim but very powerful symbol. Off the coast of Kamchatka, after a storm, they found a stranded whale 19 meters long. Even such giants cannot always cope with the elements. If you think you are having a lucky day, remember the man who accidentally stumbled upon 2-meter-long crystals. Now that is what I call real good luck. At the end of the 19th century, Bolivia planned to expand its railway network. But, as so often happens, the money ran out, and the brand new locomotives were simply abandoned like unwanted toys. Now this rusty graveyard is a paradise for scrap metal lovers and photographers. A group of tourists returned from Mongolia and claimed that they managed to film the mythical Olgoi Korkoi worm. Whether to believe it or not is up to you. But the find looks so creepy that it gives you goosebumps. This is not at all that ball from a Miley Cyrus music video. This is something much more real, a genuine siege cannonball that centuries ago was used to destroy the walls of a colonial fortress. Sun, beach, and 200 coffins. That is exactly the scene that appeared on the Italian coast when a strong current collapsed part of a coastal cemetery straight into the sea. A picture straight out of a nightmare. It seems that nature liked King Kong so much that it carved his stone version 550 meters long in the mountains of the Czech Republic. From above it, really looks like a huge lying ape. I do not even know what is cooler, to find a mermaid underwater, or to stumble upon statues of Buddha that may be more than 2,000 years older than our era. Both options sound like a movie plot. On the 2nd of January 2019, a storm called Kind Santa hit the shores of the Netherlands. It threw an entire container full of televisions and furniture onto the shore. But where the remaining 269 containers ended up is still a mystery. A group of tourists greatly inspired archaeologists when they found a giant stone hand. But joy quickly turned into disappointment. It turned out to be just a modern sculpture, not the petrified hand of an ancient god. As the United States Navy put it, they did not lose a nuclear submarine. It simply fell asleep. A wording that raises even more questions than it gives answers. The most amazing thing about this find is not the rocket itself, but its age. It is only a few months old. How it ended up in the middle of the Chinese desert is a question for which there is still no answer. Google Maps led this guy straight to an abandoned airfield, where he found an amazing MiG-23 that had been rusting in the open for years. Meanwhile, in Atlanta, Mother Nature turned an ordinary car junkyard into a true art space. Rusty cars entwined with greenery look like an installation from a contemporary art museum. Several years ago, on this very day, dozens of passengers in Malaysia unexpectedly could not use their train tickets. History is silent about what actually happened there, but those people clearly had a very strange day. In front of you, there is a rare, endangered creature, the Humber pig. This lightly armored truck was used by the British Army and the police from the 1950s to the 1990s. A real dinosaur on wheels. These future caterpillar structures were supposed to become the headquarters of a large electronics company, but after its bankruptcy in 2023, they were never completed and were simply demolished. Only photos and a feeling of a missed opportunity remain. This photo could be called "The Gods Gave Catfish an Apartment Building and Are Now Taking It Back." A flooded building with fish swimming in its windows looks both funny and a little scary at the same time. Have you ever seen a whale skeleton? One single rib makes a person look like a tiny insect. It is a scale that cannot be conveyed in words. An ordinary farmer was just digging a trench for a gas pipeline. A day like any other. But instead of a pipe, everything ended with the discovery of a mammoth skull about 15,000 years old. Imagine going out to your country house to dig a little and coming back with a prehistoric monster.
In fact, it's the skull, the jaw, the tusk.
Right in the middle of the desert in China, there is a real pirate ship. Locals say that the crew once went in search of treasure and just disappeared. And the ship still seems to be waiting for them to return and climb aboard. There are, of course, no penguins in the Arctic, but there are plenty of other inhabitants. Rocket stages scattered across the ice. Space debris that stubbornly reminds us that everything we launch up, sooner or later, falls down. A footprint 120 centimeters long was found in the rock, and it casts doubt on everything we know about the Earth's past. Maybe humanoid titans really once walked the planet. And they did it more than 200 million years ago. You go into the forest for mushrooms and find a secret German bunker. From the remaining equipment, it is clear that no one has been in here since the war, as if the owners just stepped out for a minute and never came back. On the 2nd of August 2015, fishermen near the town of Anona unexpectedly hit the jackpot. About 50 sea containers with washing machines and household appliances fell off a Taiwanese cargo ship. While the authorities were trying to figure out what to do, the fastest fishermen were already catching and selling almost all of this catch in an ancient Japanese burial mound, about 1,600 years old. They found a sword 2.3 meters long. According to ancient beliefs, it was placed in the grave so that it could protect the deceased from evil spirits even after death. Off the coast of Myanmar, fishermen caught a creature with the body of a fish and a head that looks like a dolphin's head. Some people seriously think that this is a sign of a new era of evolution in the South China Sea. When workers drained the water from the reservoir, they expected to see silt and stones. Instead, they were met by 9 cars from the 1990s. It looks very much like the mafia's attempt to get rid of evidence once and for all. Do not panic because of a 130-meter snake-like skeleton washed up on the shore in France. It is just an art installation. But you have to admit, the sight still gives you goosebumps. This man simply turned the wrong way and ended up in a huge graveyard of military equipment from the time of the Second World War. Rows of rusty vehicles, tanks, and trucks look as if time was frozen with one snap of the fingers. In May 1941, the British loaded the SS Thistlegorm ship to the brim. Ammunition, tanks, motorcycles, everything for North Africa. They were sure the ship would reach its destination. But the Luftwaffe had other plans. After the attack, the ship disappeared from radar, music, and no one saw it again until 1955, when it was rediscovered on the seabed. At a depth of 1,500 meters, divers found more than 900 unique porcelain and ceramic items. For almost 9 centuries, the fish literally ate from these dishes. At the former Sabo Naval Base, there is a 45-meter-long aircraft nicknamed Mad Dog. From 1990 to 2009, it was a real legend, regularly taking on board 137 passengers. Then, it was decommissioned and given to aviation engineering students for practice. And later, like any legend, Mad Dog was simply forgotten. Floods always leave surprises behind, but nobody expected to see a Cybertruck among them. It looks as if the future has literally been washed ashore. The chance of finding a missile engine from a C-75 anti-aircraft system in a body of water seems negligibly small, but as it turns out, it is never equal to 0. Drivers near the island of Utella, when diving with masks, find not only corals at the bottom. Much more interesting are dozens of cars, music, that were once thrown into this canyon in the hope of getting rid of them forever. But nature decided otherwise and turned the dump into an underwater museum. From 1929 to 1951, a hermit named Bob Stinson lived in this cave. They say he caught lynxes and coyotes with his bare hands and brewed his own potions. A true forest mage of his time. After long decades underwater, the ghost town of Acheredo, which they call the Atlantis of Spain, began to reappear on the surface. It was flooded in 1992 to create the Alto Lindoso Reservoir. Now, due to extreme heat and drought, the streets and houses are once again showing themselves to the world. Right beside the highway near Sacramento, there is a 3-deck paddle steamer. It managed to serve the military and even appeared in several films. Now, all that remains of its glorious past are memories and rust. These creepy shots look as if they were ripped out of a movie about the end of the world. Why do you think the owner abandoned the store? Write your versions in the comments. The story is clearly not that simple. The ghost town of Nelson bears its name for a reason. Locals insist that the spirits of former residents return here every night to keep it from completely falling apart.
This is like the Jeepers Creepers rig. GMC, little generator on the back to do whatever this thing was doing.
For some people, an unusual find is a lost sock in the washing machine. For others, it is a bomber of the Royal Canadian Air Force. Do you feel the difference in the level of luck? The statue of Pindo Matilik on the island of Sulawesi has seen almost all the civilizations of Southeast Asia rise and fall. And at the same time, it still looks as if it had been finished restoring just yesterday. Since we started talking about buildings, on the shore of the San Francisco Bay, they spotted a real version of Howl's Moving Castle. A house that looks as if it is about to tear off its foundations and walk across the waves. Here's a find even scarier than the Flying Dutchman. A mysterious lighter about which absolutely nothing is known. Whose it is, where it came from, why it exists. One big mystery. Have you ever heard of the submarine Quester 1? After the very first attempt to launch it, it was simply left to rust in the Coney Island Creek Channel. And now it looks more like a movie prop than a real vessel. Somewhere in the forest, these guys stumbled upon a structure that looks very much like the elbow joint of Optimus Prime. Although perhaps it is just part of an aircraft engine. To be honest, it is still unclear. And how do you like such a gift from the ocean? The local bomb disposal squad was especially happy about this find. A real live munition was discovered on the seabed. The sea knows how to keep dangerous surprises. If someone tells you that this stone head is older than 500 years, do not believe it. It was made specifically to attract tourists. Marketing works even when it is just a rock. This crystal skull from Tula Hidalgo raises one huge question. How did ancient people know what aliens look like if, in theory, they had never seen them? 80 years ago, this swamp swallowed a German tank whole. Now, before your eyes, it is finally being pulled to the surface. History is literally coming out of the mire. In the Red Canyon, a shiny triangular monolith appeared out of nowhere. As soon as people started talking about it, it disappeared into nowhere. Who put it there? Who took it away? Just one more mystery for the collection. The hunter-gatherer who drew these pictures 3,300 years ago clearly had no idea that they would end up on our channel. But if he had had YouTube and subscribed, he definitely would have known. And you too, do not forget to subscribe. During the Second World War, tanks were often buried up to the turret in the ground and used as stationary firing points. The problem is that not all of them were later dug back up, and now they are resurfacing like ghosts of war. Looking at this 2-meter-long plesiosaur skull, you realize only one thing. It is good that we did not exist 150 million years ago. Meeting such a creature underwater would be a very questionable pleasure. This huge sculpture lay underground in Iraq for 2,700 years. Experts believe that this is Lamassu, an Assyrian goddess protector, the patroness of her people. The only good thing about the Atlantic Wall is that its ruins are now interesting to search for. This bunker, for example, is one of thousands of fragments of a giant defensive line. A man saw a washed-up rescue capsule on the shore, and of course ran to help. But there was not a soul inside, only a supply of food and things. There are far too many questions and almost no answers. One 400-meter-long dragon sculpture in the mountains would already be impressive. But in the province of Zhejiang, there are 9 of them. They were once part of a large cultural park in China. And now, they stand like a frozen procession of mythical creatures. The Templars can finally rest. Their legacy has officially ended up in the hands of modern followers. Whatever that means, it all looks like someone tried very hard to preserve the atmosphere of an ancient order. When our grandmothers and grandfathers were not even born yet, this bicycle was simply chained to a tree. The years passed, the trunk grew, and now the bicycle has literally grown into it and become part of the forest. In August 2025, divers in the Ria Quarry found a homemade one-seat submarine. First, they pulled a 150-kilogram hull up from a depth of 5 meters, and then they started looking for the author. It turned out to be Yuri. 15 years earlier, he had been testing his creation, but because of a small mistake, the submarine went to the bottom. Planning to go to the beach in Puerto Rico? Be ready to share the sand with a retired M4 Sherman tank. You have to agree, that is not the most typical neighbor for a sun lounger. On Bali, an airplane parked next to a house does not particularly surprise anyone. One enthusiast bought a damaged airliner and turned it into a restaurant. Now that is what I call an unconventional business plan. A bus lost in the mountains is not that strange by itself. What is strange is that there is a camera hanging above it. Those who dared to go inside claim that there is a hidden door leading to an underground base. For these crystal hunters, the motto is simple. The dirtier the mud, the cleaner the treasures it hides. Judging by their finds, this philosophy works perfectly. No matter how much the German submarine tried to blend in with the seabed, it was still found. It is believed that in 1945, it was sunk by a mine. Now it is yet another reminder of war in the depths. Look at all these amphorae of wine. It looks as if Dionysus himself hid them for later. And it seems that later never came. I really hope that this chest is not a cursed treasure left by pirates. But knowing their reputation, I would still open it very carefully. For more than 40 years, the monument near Yonaguni Island has not given scientists peace. Some are sure it is a natural rock. Others believe it is the ruins of a lost civilization. And the more debates there are, the more it looks like a missing piece of the puzzle in human history. This woman signed up for an ordinary dive tour and definitely did not expect to find an ancient Buddhist temple underwater. There is a version that even deeper there is an entire sunken city hidden. And that thought is really unsettling. This diver spent 3 hours pulling from the seabed something he thought was a treasure chest. He opened it, and it was an ordinary trash bin. That is how life sometimes turns us into clowns. In this cave, there are more handprints than glow sticks at a BTS concert. And the main thing is that they are about 11,000 years old. Imagine how long ago people left their marks here. Literally. This train looks as if it drove straight out of a horror movie. Nobody really knows how it got stuck in the tunnel, but many people swear that they still hear screams coming from the empty carriages. What if humans were not the first intelligent civilization on Earth? The finds in this cave make you wonder whether we will have to rewrite history textbooks. I have never seen anything like this. Someone stumbled upon an abandoned factory for the production of dishes. It is hard to believe that the owners just left because they decided to switch to plastic forks and plates. I have two versions about this mountain bus graveyard. Either the forest spirits needed public transport, or someone was simply too lazy to organize proper disposal. This gun is the reason why during the Second World War, nobody risked approaching the beach called Sand Gat. The sight of such a barrel quickly discouraged any desire to land on the shore. Exploring local waters, a 14-year-old boy named Cameron accidentally crashed his drone into a strange metal cylinder. It turned out to be a 500-kilogram bomb. Fortunately, the bomb disposal experts quickly defused it. What else would you expect to see in a harbor if not a Soviet submarine from the Cold War era? At least this one does not have nuclear missiles. That already makes it easier to breathe. The Naka Cave in Thailand is clearly underestimated. With its distinct scales and twisted forms, it looks like the petrified body of a giant snake. Geologists say it is a natural formation, but they themselves admit that quite possibly, similar creatures really crawled across the Earth 100 million years ago. This gas station's best days are long gone. By the dozen abandoned cars in front of the entrance, it is clear that now It is more of an open-air museum than a place where you fill up your tank. This abandoned water park has such a creepy vibe that it is hard to believe that only 20 years ago, it was one of the main attractions in China. Now, everything is overgrown and peeling and attracts only stalkers. Can stained glass windows survive more than 5 centuries? This find proves that they absolutely can. The colored glass still shines as if it had just been installed. They say that in China's Hubei province, some creature resembling a yeti roams around. Judging by the shape of this crumpled truck, maybe it is not such a fairy tale. If you have nowhere else to live, try asking the universe for help. Maybe it will lead you to an abandoned mobile home park. Judging by the look of it, nobody has been there for a long time. But the homes are still standing and waiting for new stories. Tell us in the comments what unusual things you have found and what surprised or shocked you the most. Put likes, subscribe to the Top Facts channel, and right now, watch one of the videos that has appeared on your screen. Thank you for watching.